team that picked up the previous win. That was on Miramar. Now we move our way on to ArkAngel. And a bit of a contest over this Dacia for tNoy, YungBee, and Simon T. Looks like it's gone the way of BN United. tNoy's decided he wants to jump out. Simon T throws a couple of fisticuffs at him on the way, but I think in the end, Sharper will miss out on the Dacia. But they'll get out of there with their player alive because Maximus has found himself a weapon on top of the building.
Side the vehicle, that's both players making a push in now. The VSS, well, it's dangerous at close range. I would not be wanting to challenge this tNoy. No vest either. Double VSS play coming out now as the shots come through. tNoy is able to take down Simon T, but YungBee is there for the trade. 6 stacks from range, opening up some shots of his own, but they don't quite connect. Double VSS, not something you see too often.
Okay, well, BN United have picked that kill up, but now they've put themselves in a pretty awkward spot because Sharper has pretty much the perfect position to just camp their exit from the shack. Maximus keeping an eye on it. The Dacia is going to lose a couple of tires. Smokes are starting to come down. Dr. Logi, even behind that tree, doesn't feel like he's got a great amount of cover. So I think a lot of this is going to come down to what Zest can do from that position in Watertown that he's got. Some of these shots not quite really connecting for Maximus, and so BN United get at least one player out. 6 sacks certainly on the way. And Zest has been spotted, which is massive news for Sharper Esports because, well, if it were not for that info, then obviously the flank could have actually made a big difference.
ESS shots still coming out. Maybe regretting getting this aggressive now. Not expecting the full squad to be holding that shack. But look, they got a kill out of it. So definitely starting off the game strong for BN United. They've still got a vehicle to work with, and, well, they're going to need it because they are still a long way from the zone here. They've got hardly any loot looking down towards the zone, though. We already have attack all around, posted, ready to make their rotate, but Glories from Game Home Hadong inside the glass building, deciding not to take the shot. Probably a smart move right there against a 4-man of attack all round.
Yeah, putting in some good work for themselves, but we'll hold that thought for a moment because MSC has just run into the colony and Carlbs is going to lose his life. But then again, so is a couple of the MSC players as well. Skeet is finished off. Jowman's on the floor. And it looks like Alec still has a bit of an angle to cause a ruckus with here.
Rough there for Alec. One shot would have been able to get the re-knock, but it's not to be as MSC just kind of chilling right now. Not too stressing. Going for yet another revive. Smokes are up for a little bit of extra cover. Game Home actually making a rotate over on the west. We saw 3007 up in that glass building by the bridge earlier. Now instead deciding to swing a little bit further around. Chimbori just looting up, making the most out of the player that they killed. Seiryu Esports on a rotate of their own right now. Not too much to worry about. Day trade, though, actually down on the southern side. Venotka taking some shots. There must be a player over on a ferry or something if they're shooting down that way.
The northern side of the map, but yeah, I mean, that's probably, we're probably not going to see much from them for the next 5 minutes or so, but you got to keep that in the back of your mind when they come across those bridges, when they do get across to the island, coming in from the Milter side bridge. So that'll be interesting to see where it ends up. And obviously this circle shift, I mean, we get a pretty decent one, to be quite fair. It's gone right back over the military base, and I wonder if this prompts a bunch of rotates from the teams on the island.
Starts to rotate in. Should point out, what I said about day trade earlier, turns out I was completely wrong. Paperthin has informed me he was actually trying to get info on all the southern teams, like looking down at the coastline. Really smart, and it's paid off so far as he's going to be able to take down Y8. It's Flash that flushes that one out. Easy Esports making their rotate through as Glooms pins down some shots here onto Fury in a bit of a tricky position down at this crossroads. Now, in terms of zone position, it's nice, but the cover, at least where they currently are, is really not ideal.
Well, Van going to drop for Unicorn Phoenix once again, off to a bit of a rougher start for this team that really terrorized the lobby in week number 1. Two Chills gets a knock on to Julio as we keep an eye on Chibiritt from Eagle 365. This is still north of Sosnovka Island, back on the main island, so all these teams really trying to find the safest way to get across to where the circle actually has eventually ended up, and it's going to take quite a while, right? Made in Thailand, they're waiting for Eagle 365, who's waiting for Sharper Esports, and BN United have said, screw this, we're out of here, we're going to go back over to the Western Bridge. So BN United is on the rotate away from Milton now. Sharper Esports is across the bridge, more or less, So it'll be Eagle 365's turn, and then Made in Thailand is going to get to go across. And so those teams that are still inside the blue right now are really burning through all of their medical supplies, and they're going to come in relatively dry in that respect. So it's going to be an awkward game here for Made in Thailand and for BN United.
Yeah, that's a bit of a tricky one here for these northern teams. Thankfully, they do have a compound, and obviously they should be able to get some meds out of that one. BN United, though, I'm not sure whether they're actually going all the way over to the west coast. I think they might actually try and pull down to the south. It looks like they're scouting out for boats or something based on Young B's position. Oh, we have a minute. Go enter your code into game. Just a reminder for anyone who's maybe in a different tab right now. Go enter that in, get yourself some coupons, and of course, some esports points. Get yourself those fancy skins. As the ferry is here, BN United could have taken it, but it looks like instead they are just scouting out, potentially getting ready for a swim. A bit of a risky one to make, but you know what? That northern side of the island, it's looking relatively safe. Eagle 365, we see them here, finally making that cross over the bridge. Not expecting any more teams to be behind, so no real point staying there trying to play for kills. However, Made in Thailand all the way up to the north, such a long way to go here. They're going to be tanking a hell of a lot of blue damage, especially if they don't get in by phase 3. That's when it really starts to, it gets beyond tickling at that point. Everyone just now kind of taking the time with the rotate. Everyone got onto Millie Island so early that they don't really have to worry too much. Sure, we lost a couple players on rotate, but everyone is already posted up on Millie.
Circle shift about to come through, and it's relatively central by all accounts, and so that's great news for ArkAngel Predator, who is pretty uncontested toward the northern side of the map. So is Sharper. But they're going to have teams obviously rotating across the bridge that they have to be aware of. It's Made in Thailand that I'm talking about. BN United, I think, either swam across or found a boat. I didn't quite catch it, but they are across. So they're coming down from the north as well. It's just so weird how this game has played out. There it is. It's a boat. I guess they've managed to be a little bit lucky in finding the boat, but you'll take it. And so now the run begins. The run off the beach never feels good, but once they get it done, they'll be in a pretty good spot.
Safely. Sharper down to the south, they could definitely cause some problems. Eagle 365, though. Actually, I didn't think these teams were going to run into each other, but it looks like Eagle 365 pulled up over on the east of the zone and did end up manage to find a kill on to Made in Thailand. Colony, 2 players, 1 car, sending it in straight into attack all round. That's no position anyone wants to be in, as Glooms and Janky are both just posted up. The spray comes out. Momonjii, though, takes down one, and Alec follows up with a second. That's Janky and Glooms both out of it, out of nowhere. They try to get the revive onto Momonjii, but the sSuspekT takes shot from range and applies the pressure. With about 1 HP left, he gets the res off. Hopefully, this Colony now just playing this hillside. That is really impressive to see them be able to clean that one up. It looked like attack all round maybe had the upper hand coming into this now. BN United, we saw them make the cross. They still have Sharper down to the south they need to be cautious of, so they can't go too deep into zone because just over this hillside, things open up massively.
Speaking of which, ArkAngel Predator letting them know all about that. BN United now have to keep an eye on their west. And again, so does ArkAngel Predator for the next couple of minutes. Daytrade are headed in their direction underneath the bridge at the moment. AljnBOTz has spotted them out, so the information is there for ArkAngel Predator, but Daytrade didn't really seem to have an awareness that ArkAngel Predator was there. Nice trade in the end from Flash to get the better of AljnBOTz, but being picked back up is good news for Daytrade. That was a weird fight.
He left it a little late to take the initial shots, missed a few. CJ tried to swing down to the south, maybe not expecting Daytrade to make a direct push in, but that's exactly what they ended up doing. Now moving down to the south, this is CJ's opportunity to make something happen, but he is going to be a solo, and he's just getting absolutely peppered right now in some serious trouble from Daytrade. They could make this cross. Look, they've still got 4 players up. They've got the revives in. Nurans, though, gets pinned down, taken down with a headshot. There it is, CJ to take down one, looking to follow it up with a second. Big damage is done, but not enough to find the kills. tRycK spray coming out from Jalman here as Poochill's getting third party from behind. Klee with a third party of his own, finishes off Chowman. 2 players remaining here from MS Shimboris. This fight is just an absolute mess. Flash goes down. I believe it's Venotka's the final player left up, but with hardly any health. Flash and Puchil's both flushed out. Venotka trying to make a final stand. Does exactly that. Takes down Rogues. There's MS Shimbori with only 1 player as well. CJ with the spray. Flushes out Nerns, but it's Julio in the end to take down Venotka and finish off Daytrade. Now the solo player left. Trying to take fight onto Easy Esports, but gets punished.
Yeah, he's going to have to just stick behind this rock for the moment, try and keep his head down. He can still be a thorn in the side for a lot of those teams up toward the north. Move back down to the southern side of the circle, inside of the military base, and this is where Fury are starting to get involved in some engagements. You saw Unicorn Phoenix as well, putting a bit of damage down, and back over toward the eastern side of the map where Made in Thailand are starting to finally get inside of the zone. I mean, this is 17 minutes into the game, and I think this is the first time Made in Thailand have actually stepped inside of the safe zone. The same can probably be said for the likes of Eagle 365. And they might get the better of Cerberus. Hey, Saki's already been finished off by Unicorn Phoenix, so Cerberus is definitely hurting. And they're on the rotate up the hill past a bunch of teams. I'm not sure how they're still alive. And Fap surely goes down here. Vandal9, he's got the nade out. What is going on? Fap was on no HP. He's got the knock onto Vandal9. He's dead. He's inside the zone. There's no way he gets out of that one, but Eagle 365, oh, they made a meal of it.
They got in. They got in, that's all that matters, but the question is for how much longer, as Chibiritt does end up falling. Hymus is there, tries to make a push of his own onto Sharp Esports. Doesn't work out as Cerberus go down in 14th. Jekzy and Hanzyy both still remain in here from Eagle 365 as Jekzy tries to peek up over the top, spots out Duckmans, gets the knock, confirms the flush. There's a kill. 2 players remain from Myth. The question is, how effectively are they able to make this happen with so many teams getting ready to move in from south? Teams like Unicorn Phoenix over in that melee base to tackle round. They do fall to Colony as Young B is there to take a fight of his own. Smell falls, but not before. Made in Thailand eliminated out in 12th position. Unicorn Phoenix, they use this as their opportunity to push through. They send it with the vehicles, but Jekzy's got the opening knock. Dat blues down. That leaves Chu as the final player left up. Nade coming up over the top. Is it gonna land? Not quite this time. No kill being found. Chu is pinned down over at the truck. Surely they know his position, but do they have any frags to follow? Not looking like it just yet. The spray comes through. The pressure is being applied. Eagle 365, they just need to catch this pinch. As the zone pops, they're going to have to move soon.
Yeah, so is Unicorn Phoenix, though, to be fair. So Chu is obviously up the creek without a paddle. He's got 2 players headed in his direction. Gets the knock. No! Help out from Seiryu. Sunshine knocks Jekzy with a headshot, and he might actually finish him off here as well, which gives Chu a bit of breathing room. Hanzyy now in the one-on-one, and Eagle 365, who started the game off in a rough position, don't seem to have ever really dug themselves out of trouble. Chu puts him down to a sliver of HP, and again, provides himself with some breathing room. This is a 1v1 for the ages, it seems like. It's just going backwards and forwards, but we'll move away from that one for the moment as we keep an eye on what's happening between the Colony and BN United. BN United still looking relatively healthy up toward the north, but I do wonder how many resources they have at their disposal. Obviously, having had to tank the blue for such a long time, and to be fair, not a huge amount of compounds for them to loot on the way in onto Sosnovka Island. Things might be starting to get a little bit dry.
Interesting in this game how there have been so many situations where one bullet would have made all the difference. This was definitely one of them. Hanzyy caught with a headshot, one more to the body. Well, it all would have been over. Chu is still looting up, hoping maybe he can find a frag grenade or something to finish off this fight. Colony, though, they're about to take a fight of their own. Nade coming out from Zest. Big damage with the M4. The nade does the same, but it can't quite find the kill. The second frag following through as the Molotovs come. And just out of nowhere, BN United just annihilating the Colony right now. Simon throws up the smokes for a little bit of extra safety as Ronon ends up falling to Asba from 36 Cartel. Both OCE teams battling it out. They were down on the southern side, and Insight gonna fall as well. Hanzyy finally finished off by Chu as dNial. Oh, one more. should be able to finish off the job if
Where's
it
he
can
going?
land to the head, but he's just not. Asba is just peeking back and forth, teasing him, just not let him have those shots that he so desperately needs. Fludd is there though with the headshot, finishes off Asba. The nade was in hand. Even if he didn't get the flush, he would have been down and out soon enough. Smoke's coming out as Fury, well, they are desperate for cover in this current position.
I mean, such an awkward spot to play from for Asba. If he goes up one level, he's open to Seiryu. If he goes down to the other, he's open to Fury. And in the end, the shots from Seiryu actually bail Fury out big time. They have 2 players on the floor, but it looks like they should be able to get both those reses off. In the meanwhile, Chu is still alive. He's won that 1v1 against the last remaining Eagle 365 member. And now he's turned his attention to what's happening for Sharper Esports. He can potentially ruin their game as well.
Circle getting ready to close through as 36 Cartel just out there tanking a little bit of damage over on the eastern side, though. You do see plenty of teams trying to defend. Seiryu just making the most out of their hard cover, but still sending tRycK out to the front. BN United now so dangerously close to game home Hadong. They could cause some major issues here as they try to just sneak their way up the ridge. Chu from Unicorn Phoenix is the final player as player 4 ends up falling to How. Fury deciding to execute. The flush comes out and the kill is confirmed by Ronon, but not before Ykikamucow goes down. Ronon though alongside Fludd finish up the job, and that's 36 Cartel out in 8th position. Nades up on the northern side. We knew it was going to happen. Maybe expecting BN United to thread the needle with the nade, but instead it's Clarice that's there to take down Young B. The second one a little bit too far to flush things out, but continuing to farm through that damage as Simon T plays point. The door is open. That gives the info away, but the shots don't land in the way he maybe would have hoped as game home Hadong just grip onto this compound for everything it's worth. Ronon falls and Fury potentially in trouble.
Yeah, you can see Seiryu really taking a lot of map control down toward the south. I mean, How has crossed the road already as well. Insight's been spotted out. dNial has got the perfect sniping position at the top of the radar array, and you start to think Fury's in a really rough spot now. Fludd trying to do his best. Ykikamucow finished off now as well. And Ronon on a sliver of HP. He'll be surviving for the moment, but I think all chances of Fury winning this game have just disappeared in the last 20 seconds or so. They had 4 alive. Seiryu now, however, are putting them to bed. Ronon gets knocked with a headshot, finished off as well. And it's just young Fludd left alive for the Oceanic contingent. This would be a big win for Seiryu, not only because they've already got one on the board, but because they've dispatched a Fury on their way in. It would take down the likes of BN United, who are still alive in this game, and put Seiryu squarely in first place after game 4 of the evening. Still a lot of work to be done, though, in that respect. Fludd, I mean, there was nowhere really to go, and so dNial will finish him off in the end. Seiryu get the better of Fury. And so I think for me right now, the big storyline is BN United versus Seiryu for game number 4 for the lead in PCS APAC.
And it's a fair point to make. Our top 3 teams still alive. Sure, Seiryu Esports only have 1, but I've seen it happen before. Game home Hadong, our 16th place team, second time now that they have gotten this late into the game, but they just haven't had the kills to go with it. If they are able to somehow clutch up and get themselves a chicken dinner, it moves them all the way from 16th up to 5th, overtaking teams like Fury. Seiryu making the most out of the high ground, trying to thread the needle and open something up as 2 players have already moved towards the ridge. See where it ends up shifting in just a moment. Sharper out on the east still with 2 players up. The zone, well, shifts up to the north. They're going to be happy. They sent How. I'm not sure whether they have any vehicles to work with in terms of making it out. The only vehicles that I see, though, are the one Shinvi is just desperately using for cover, laying down behind them as BN United now comes the push. The Molotov, unfortunately, though, lands on the wrong side of the window. Just a little bit too high. Doesn't connect in the way they would have hoped. Seclori's safe for at least the time being.
Smoke's coming down again for game home, but they're going to have to move. Seiryu going to have to give it a second crack, and they'll... Ooh, I was going to say they'll get off okay, but Sharper makes some work for it. Sunshine won't be feeling too good after that one, but he'll duck his head down, get some heals off, and Seiryu have made the cross relatively okay. Belmoth continues to be a problem for them. Sharper Esports down to just the 2 6-sacks there with him. And I don't know that these two are going to be necessarily in the position to win the game. Game Home can push around to them. But they can certainly be a thought in the side for one of the top teams in the moment, which is Seiryu. Here is Game Home indeed heading in that direction. They've heard the shots from Sharper Esports. And they know that there is some prey awaiting.
You've got to say now, Seiryu probably in the best position. They're clustered up there. And a bit of a risky one. All it takes is 1 or 2 plays from Sharper to he will take down these players. They are so clustered together. sSuspekT doing what he can to try and pre-fire onto tRycK, but nothing being found. Spamming through the smoke actually does connect with a little bit of damage. Seiryu actually need to hope that Game Home get aggressive quickly here and cause problems for Sharper Esports as sSuspekT is up over the top, taking some down, but he just can't land them in the way he would have hoped. It looks like Game Home, they've actually used these shots that rather than third-partying on, they're just going to wait. They're going to wait for this fight to kick off. They realize that Sharper could do damage onto one of the top teams in the... Oh, sorry, the top team in the lobby. So they can make the most out of it if they wait. But instead, 3070 throws out a flashbang. His position has been given away by Belmoth. There's only 2 players. They need to try and navigate those. So all it's going to take is 1 or 2 players from Game Home Hedong pushing up for the sweep to finish off the job. But no, instead, they're playing down the hill. They're playing very passive. It's a theme we've seen from Game Home, and I don't see why, because in the past, they've been such a heavy fragging squad. It almost feels like they're second-guessing themselves, Jordan.
Yeah, could be something with that. Coming into the PCS environment, things change a lot. And so maybe you start to feel a little bit less confident in the fights that you're taking. Maybe it is just a case of, you know, the days haven't really been favoring them and they're not feeling the way that they ordinarily would. So when you play with less confidence, inevitably you tend to play a little bit worse, and then that leads to playing with less confidence because the day's not going the way you want it to. So it's a self-fulfilling cycle, I suppose. 22% there, though, for Game Home, according to the algorithm. It's not quite as high as what BN United have got, but it's still a possible chance, and that would be the way back into PCS APAC for, you know, PCS 5, I suppose, for Game Home, that they really do need. They've been really struggling. I mean, PCS 4 wasn't too kind to them either, but a win here, and maybe all is forgiven. XinV keeping his head down behind a couple of Dacias. And he might make a top placing here, to be honest, if he can really just stay out of the fights. Maybe a top 2 or top 3.
I mean, look, it's phase 8. After this, it comes down to the dot, and XinV is pretty much central on it. And it's the same topic that kind of causes the issue for Seiryu right now, because they've got this ridgeline, but what's above it? Do they have any cover? They have a couple trees. That's about it. If Sharper are able to play this high ground continually for just a little bit longer, then they're going to be able to rain down fire. BN United as well can also just peek up and cause some problems. tRycK is doing what he can to cover that western side, making sure it is, in fact, free. Solar in hand, but no real info being found. I think he knows about the player, but not taking the shots just yet. Just playing slow. As phase 8 continues close in, it is down to the dot now, Jordan.
Yeah, no need to necessarily take those shots too early on and really start to draw the ire of someone like Sharper Esports who can wrap on behind you. Seiryu don't really want to be the first one to take the engagements, but inevitably they're forced into it as the zone starts to push behind them. SimonT keeping an eye on things, and Seiryu now start to have to be a little bit aware. They've made a lot of noise. Sharper Esports will head in their direction. tRycK fires a nade off in the direction of BN United, but it's not quite going to go deep enough. There's a knock onto sSuspekT. So Seiryu doing their due diligence, keeping an eye on what's happening behind them. Sharper Esports will not catch them off guard, but they now have to be aware of what's happening in front as well. BN United copping some shots from Game Home. It's all happening. The zone starts to push everyone in onto one another. Dr. Logi, big spray, gets the knock onto tRycK, but not the second. Game Home starts to get involved in the fight. Sharper eliminated, but Game Home might meet the same fate. XinV behind the Dacia, finding 2 already, and Game Home is down to just the 1.
Make it 3 now as Shin finds yet another one. Game Home have just been torn apart. The team that were arguably in the favorite position to take this game. The 2 teams now just being torn apart. XinV lays down prone, but it's too little too late. Zest is going to be able to open up with the barrel spray, takes down XinV. Zest doing what he can to try and survive as